wearing birthday hats.
Okay. Yeah, we should have birthday hats. We're going to wear. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 53rd episode of Britain's Hidden History. And I think you all know what 53 weeks makes the first week of a new year. It's happy birthday. Woo! Take it away, Anne. Come on. Day to you. Happy birthday, BHH Live. Happy birthday to everyone. Yay! Go, lights up, clear. Yeah. Now you should have the party poppers and everything. We used them all up last week, remember? Yeah. Ah, what's that? Is that heavy, is it? That's that's a solid old cake, that is there. Night jokes. Well, everyone hope you can hear me okay? Alright, can you go and put that somewhere? Cut me a nice big fat piece of that. It'd be lovely, please. Thank you.
Me too, please.
Yeah, we'll have cakes all around. So, welcome everybody.
We'll try to pass some cake through the camera.
Yeah, I was have some virtual cake through the camera. We had a virtual conference last week. I'm trying to see where the chat is. It's not on my screen for some reason. It's only on your screen, Arnie. It's not on mine. So let's move this out the way. Hang on. Nope, actually don't move this out the way. Just move yours a bit nearer. Yes, Pembloyd Happis. Diolch fawr, David.
A royal birthday cake.
Why can't I see any comments or anything on here? That's weird, isn't it? Hello, everybody. Anyway, I have to. We are going to have to take my props board down. Okay. Sorry, everything's running a little bit late this week. Not as organised as I hoped. I said hope, not as usual. Right, let's hello to a few people while people log in. So, morning, David, Meg. Good evening. Sorry, Suzanne, Jordan, Amelia. Brilliant. Michael James. Loads of people online already. Right, fantastic. Now, some big news, of course, is and before everyone. Right, this week there were so many videos because I was determined to get the Britain's Hidden Christianity book finished. Hooray! Which we finished today. Well, it's just tweaking. You can tweak it forever. I think it's got to the stage where I'll just give a quick idea, because now I want some feedback straight away. Okay, this is not the finished cover of the book. It will have some graphics and things like that, but I am very much. Ooh, hang on. That's weird. It just changed the thing then. Right. Okay. Should be doing a screen share now.
Yep.
Yes, there you go. It looks a bit dark on the screen, unfortunately. There we go. I've got Britain's Hidden Christianity. Thank you, Arnie. It's the same sort of style as Moses, Trojan War, and the other books that will all be coming.
Yeah, and it's a bit more emeraldy in person.
A bit more emeraldy. I want to get more yellow into that green, I think. What I want feedback on... Oh, by the way, underneath the wording, there will be a graphic. So I'm open to suggestions. The last book we did, the Trojan War one, had a drawing of Wilson and Blackett. On this one, what I was going to do was merge into the cover an overhead shot of the island of Anisthenus, as you know, where certain very important gentleman from history is said to be buried. So that'd be kind of faded into the cover. And what I can then some is some where's the indoor fireworks? Sorry, Charlie, it was a bit underwhelming the first birthday, wasn't it? But we did such a big one last week. For the end of the year, it seemed a bit two like that in a row. Seems a bit too much. So, so what we got there. So the captions. First of all, the title of the book, because nothing is absolutely set just yet. Oh, I got some birthday cake. Lucky me. Thank you. Nothing's absolutely set yet. So still, if people think we can do a better one, I like the title because it ties in with our Britain's Hidden History that we do. Then the other thing we got there is the sub. So it's Britain's Hidden Christianity, and then we got the subheading. As at the moment, it's a bit clumsy, I think, though. Jesus and his family escaped the crucifixion to Britain, the world's first Christian kingdom. So there you go.
Lag,
oh, 10-second lag, good. So if you're not aware of that, I should say welcome. Hello everybody first. Hello and welcome to the show. And if it's your first visit, great, you're very welcome. And I know there are people who it's their first visit, because the number of views goes up every week, and the number of subscribers goes up every week. So there must be new people every week. No other way it can happen, is there? But what we do is, we're looking at the history that unfortunately is not taught in schools anymore. A lot of this stuff, well, almost all of it, used to be taught in schools until as recently as the 1920s. A lot of the history of Britain was rewritten around about 1700, when the Hanoverians came in and got rid of British history. They wanted to get rid of British identity. so that everyone would accept this sort of Germanic king and queen situation. It's a little bit different with the Christianity. I'll give a little bit of background on this, because the book will be going up for pre-order, is that the original story, the first Christianity in the world started in Britain. More specifically, started in South Wales, when the Holy Family, escaping persecution after the crucifixion, had to go somewhere that was not within the Roman Empire, and they came up to Britain. So if you look at a map at the time, the Romans had the Mediterranean as their pond, and Britain was still yet to be attacked. Julius Caesar had attempted it about 54 BC, and got his butt well and truly kicked, and was beaten twice. So Britain was a safe haven. And now there is some... So when this message came, I know it's controversial about whether or not Jesus himself came, or just a Christian message, but this is where the book will be exploring that, the evidence. So it starts off going through the politics of Rome and Judea, the environment to which Jesus was born, a closer look at the story of the birth, how the Gospels work, what they really might be trying to tell us. All these kind of things are in the book, along with the history leading up to it, which I find very interesting. The history of the Jew. Well, I don't know what you call them at that stage. They're not really Jews as such, although it's a Jewish type faith, or Hebrews, or Judeans, or anyway, their history and how they ended up in that situation. The mix of populations and everyone and faiths that was in Judea, how Herod, how the Hasmonean dynasty fits into it, and against the Idumeans. It's brilliant. It's Wilson and Blackie at their best. And most of this book is from things, excuse me, from reading Bible. And, some nice comments, thank you. Maybe some Ankh to cross symbol on the back. Yeah, we could do some early Christian symbols. Good idea. Yeah, the P one. So what we have then is a situation there, what the situation that Jesus was born into, the year, if the year is correct, and what is fascinating then, and is, what I was going to say is that all this information in the book are things that you will have read yourself, whether it be in the Bible or other sources. And what Wilson and Blackie have this rare genius of being able to do is to read it and then actually see what it says. And I think people will have a surprise, because there's an enormous amount of Bible references in here. But when you read the Bible with their eyes, you realise it's not quite quite a bit different to what's being preached in churches. So, of course, the big controversial subject is whether or not Jesus did die on the cross. And then we have the situation then of their all the evidence that they've found for them then having migrated to Britain. And whether or not it's... even if each part is separate in a way. So you say, well, I don't think Jesus did happen like that. Maybe it's the son of Jesus or the Holy Family. Because you've got the evidence for Joseph Arimathea, then you've got Mary, and then you've got these ancient records of the Holy Family marrying into the British royal family, which is why they have this holy connection. So all around South Wales, you'll see Saint Athens, Saint Fagans, all these saints are all members of the British royal family. So it's a massive story then. It gets very, very interesting. And then, of course, the big payoff, which is interesting, slight delay on this one, is where all these people are then buried. So where Joseph ended up, and you can go and visit that. I think you've seen a video I've done that one, where Jesus ended up, possibly where Mary ended up. And then what I'd like to do, which cause a slight addition on the time, is put appendixes in the back of the book. Bob Morgan's brilliant at this. So he's done one, and he's doing another one. And the idea is then each of these appendixes will give you a little guide so you can go and visit the site, maps and how to go. So a lot of people have asked about walking guides and visitor guides and things. Well, I've lost Arnie a minute. Hang on. Let's just bring my computer. I can see it so I can read all the comments. Is the book for sale yet? No, it will be going up for pre-sale this week. The man who wrote a pamphlet and walked down a book. So the man who walked up a pamphlet, like, isn't it? Yeah. Very good. I like the way this stands out the green. Just suggestion. Whites with red outline. More Welsh colours. Oh, yeah, get some red on there. Be good, wouldn't it? The point of the colour, by the way, if you're not aware with the books, the plan was to create a full range of colours. So the earliest ones, you can just pass down, say the Moses and the orange ones, that's it, one of those.
Moses in
Yeah,
the
one,
hieroglyphics.
and then one of the Trojan Wars, please. Unfortunately, these are my bashed up copies where I scribble all over them. So the idea is, and the hieroglyphics as well.
Yep.
So it starts red, orange, and then yellow through hieroglyphics.
Both editions.
Hang on, let's go back to me, I think. Yeah, so this is the plan. Hang on. I should only need that one. Right, so the plan there then is we go, Moses, Trojan War, hieroglyphics. There's another books already written by Wilson and Blackett, which I need to put out as books. So it goes the reds, the orange, yellows, the greens, blues, indigos, violets, like a rainbow, but not, where it's been there. Used by other parties recently, should we say. So to give a little bit of a summary of what's coming up. So we've got the very ancient books, like say Moses, and it's all about the biblical characters, how you can read hieroglyphs, where they are in the Bible, how you can see the stories like Queen of Sheba, Joseph, all these things actually written in hieroglyphs, which great gives historical background to it. Then we got Trojan War, how actually moved to 650 BC, all the characters, who they are, who Agamemnon is, all these people. It's just another tremendous book. Then my little hieroglyphics book slotting in there. And then we're going to have the book about the migrations, which same sort of periods. There's books about the migrations. Then books about this one. So maybe that's to be a little bit more yellowy, as I was saying, because this will be more about then Christianity arriving in Britain. Alongside that, before after, is the myth of a Roman Britain. And I thought of some names for that book as well. Like, thought one funny one might be what the Romans didn't do for us. Because, if you follow this, all the roads, all that kind of thing, the towns, the buildings, most of this was either before the Romans or done by other people. And from Wilson and Blackett's research, you can see they were hardly in Britain at all, particularly not in Wales. Also in that red, orange, yellow bit, we've got then the star maps. And they go right back to ancient Assyria, so they might have to be read right at the very beginning. There's so much work, you see, it's so vast. This is why, the more you get involved, the more fascinating it becomes, and help's always welcome. So then from there, then we have the situation where you got to the Romans. Then we get the early British history, the early British kings, the dynasties, all the traces of those, and that's the whole of Britain. A lot of it's in north of England, actions in Scotland, Cornwall. Then you've got Arthur the First and the British invasion of Gaul, and then on to Greece and all the things he did. And then, of course, we get into Arthur the Second. And the idea that I'm trying to get it, so they'll be in the sort of dark blues and indigos and stuff, leading into the Black Books, the big three, the King Arthur, King Glamorgan and Gwent, the Charters and the Walking. Because then we've got the other blue ones then have dropped in the middle. We've got like Rob's book, it's kind of part of the Britain's Hidden History series, which is all about 17th century and the Great Fire of London and how that was set up and all that kind of thing. So it's massive. It's like doing rewriting all the books for the whole of history. So it's a bit of a challenge, isn't it? Right, let's look at some of the comments. They're always good fun.
When should I play the feature piece of music?
The what music?
The feature piece.
You lost me.
Indiana Jones.
Oh, you want to?
Piece.
Oh, we'll do it at the end. I think we'll have to do it at the end. Is that? Sorry, yes. So what we got here now? So we got in line with the chakras. Haile Selassie visited Wales. Well, I didn't know that. Okay, hello David. You're back. You're online. Don't worry. You already missed us a bit of the opening music. Haile Selassie was in College University over here. I can't remember that one. Don't know much about that one. Axum. Right. Anyway, let's get on to what we have this evening. Now I'm going to dive straight in because it's not very organised. I've got things I want to go through. First of all, there's a couple of little things I need to finish this book. And I put requests out on Facebook because the people who helped and contributed with this book. This is not going to happen otherwise. As you can see, there's so many to do. And two things. One is at Tintagel, which has become really associated with King Arthur, although that seems to be mostly, from Wilson and Blackett's research, due to the place Dindagel, which is actually North Wales. But hey, sounds a bit like Tintagel, and That's not in Wales, so we guess the nod, and it's got that fabulous castle, which probably wasn't a castle, by the way. That was some religious sanctuary. But anyway, there are connections there. There was people like Gunnar, if you've read Arthur the War King, you know about Gunnar Two-Faced, who did his alliance with the Irish. And if you go back to War King, I've got videos about that, you can see it, where he did an alliance to really betray the British and help in an invasion of Brittany. That's another story for now, but in Tintagel, curiously, one of the things that's been found there is a stone with an etching on it of a turtle or a tortoise. And what Alan Wilson has brilliantly done is show this is not just graffiti, it's not just a turtle or tortoise, which doesn't really live in Cornwall generally anyway. It is actually a Colburn code. And you can read it that way, and it tells you about the crucifixion of Jesus. And you can read it the other way, and it tells you about birth of Christianity in Britain. So it's absolutely crucial. It's been pretty much ignored and discarded, unfortunately. And it only appears as graffiti. But please, I really want to I could do some better pictures of it, or some pictures to put in the book. So if people could send me the picture, please don't send Google searches and websites and videos. I've gone through hundreds. I just want a picture, if you can find it, of that one. Okay? So that's one thing we need. That's the main thing, really. What was the other thing I was looking for, Arnie? I meant to write this down. Right, the book's almost done apart from that, okay? So please, if you can find that picture of the Tintagel tortoise or turtle, that would be fantastic. Please email me or send it through. Right, I think that's about it then. That book will be done. So suggestions then, please, about the blooming kids. Tell me about it, Caroline. There we are. Mine is just angels all the time. Right, he came to Swansea and visited Pentlegate. Is this we saw Haile Selassie there, are we? Right, okay, so now one thing I'll do a little bit different, moving on from that, was, a little bit of talk. Did you see the video chat I did with Matt Adams earlier in the week about snake stones in America? Because I'd like people to look at that and have some chat and get some conversation going. And one of the reasons is that what I'd like to discuss on next week's show, on this show next week, is all about the snake as a symbol in early British Christianity and Druidism. Something that keeps coming up again and again and again. Even when you look at the island and its DNAS from above, it looks like a snake's head. Although Ali said a frog. But hey. It looks like a snake's head to me, okay?
It's like a crouching frog.
Crouching frog, said Arnie. I think it's a cobra's head. But you can have a look. But the point is, please try and watch that before next week. So I want to have a discussion about that. And I'm going to show lots of examples from Britain's Hidden Christianity. Because now the book's going to be on pre-sale and just about done. Just put the index in the back. I'm going to start talking more about those kind of subjects. Early Christianity, that kind of thing. Okay? Right, now Tyr.
You can't see it.
No, I know you can't see it yet. I'm getting everything lined up. Now, one of the questions I've been asked, I would say, probably more than more than any others, is about, please, do we have any examples on stones where you can actually see Coelbren, the Colburn language? And if you're new to all this, what Colburn is, it's the ancient British writing system. There's evidence for it going back to before Caesar even. So you got people like Caesar describing it, Strabo, all these ancient Romans describing it, and you get medieval references. Then you got in the 16th century, you got people like Llewellyn Sean, who did a cipher, how to read it. There's all this going on, and yet, if you look it up, you will find, in fact, let's do just that, and you can see what I mean then. Hang on a second. Let's do a screen share. If I go Wikipedia, this is where I've got to be careful. If I put, because the letters, I mean. Colburn and Beath, here we go. Disembaguation page, what does that mean? There it is. I recognise Yolo's picture there. So if we look at Colburn, which they got Bard's Lot there. I would call it their Royal Wood or something like that, or Writing of the Kings, the Holy Writing. Anyway, look at this. It says a script created in the late 18th century by the forger Edward Williams, best known as Iolo MacGonagh. There's not even any doubt on this one. This has quite annoyed me because I thought the message was being watered down a little bit regarding Iolo, because if you look at his profile, it's kind of like accused forger and all this kind of stuff. But no, here it is. It was just invented in the late 18th century. This is what we're up against, right? This is why it's called Britain's hidden history, because a lot of the stuff which is well known and available is being hidden and buried. Right, so here we go. The alphabet system consisted of 20 letters and 20 other representations of elongated vowels. Anyway, don't worry about all this. It's not exactly right. What is interesting here is it resembled ancient Greek. Now, the reason that's given in the British history for this being the case is that if you go back through the migrations and you find the British travelling from Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey, as they came through, they went sort of bypassing, so crossing across the top of Greece. And the story is, this is why it resembles ancient Greek, they gave the Greeks the gift of writing. And this is where you have a problem, because your classical academics, particularly those who have studied Latin and Greek, the last thing they want to hear is that Greek derives from an ancient Welsh written language.
Wait a minute, you can edit wiki pages.
Well, you can try and edit them. I mean, there's committees who look at these things. Well, if someone's to suggest it, do it. Yeah, Iolo had a TARDIS and went back. Jordan, I forgot about the TARDIS, you see. Yeah, he even went to Egypt, he went to Etrusca, he left this language all over Europe. Yeah, thank you, I'd forgotten about that.
He flew around writing all over the walls.
Yeah, because if you look at... that's one of the things I was going to go back to. Sorry. Yes. Anyway, basically, yeah. The other thing is you can, as you know, I've got my Cumberglyphics top on. Hopefully you can see that. Which is, you can read ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs using Welsh. You can also use Etruscan, which I'm learning more about. That works really well. Also learning more about Colburn. It's not... the theory of any writing system, why Cumberglyphics works so well, if it's going to work as a writing system, you should be able to learn it reasonably quickly. And it should be reasonably straightforward. And in my view, it should always read the same, or pretty close to the same. You might have interpretations. So if I gave you, say you knew German, and I gave you a document in German, you should be able to have a pretty good stab at working out what that means. And if you don't speak German, you should be able to get a dictionary out, translate all the words, and then have a pretty good stab. That's translation. That's not done generally in academia. What's generally done with all these ancient languages is deducement. And what that means is you think, where was it found? What was it next? What does it probably say? Ooh, this probably refers to such and such. This refers to that. Therefore, I would say the following words. You see what I mean? It's working backwards. That's not translation. Anyways, so the idea of Greeks having a written language from 1250 BC is ridiculous when you think about it. Because the first real writings are by Homer. Oh, God, I've got such a stack of books here at the moment. I've been working very hard. Homer's Iliad, which I'm sure you're all aware of.
A great book.
Yeah, brilliant book. Love that book. And I've got some few questions about this as well, because Homer sounds awfully like Gomer and could be phonetically... this could be to do with a Cymry. The word, there's no person actually called Homer, in case you're not aware of that. I think his name was Melesigenes, is the guy who gets most of the credit. But it could be, the more we look into it, the whole thing is actually a history of the Cymry. Anyway, watch this space for that one, okay? But the point is, the Greeks are supposed to develop writing at 1250 BC and then just not written anything for 600 years. So, hey, how anyone could remember how to do it? I have no idea how that works. Or the alternative is, the British history records are right, and as they came past, they gave a writing system to the Greeks, which is why the two look similar. And then we come back, all right? So the problem... So I'll just go through a bit more of this. So we got... there we are. We got the Python, and which is like a... Well, they've usually got a picture of it somewhere. Anyway, it looks like an abacus. You've got these wooden blocks, which you carve your messages on. You can twist them to do multiple messages. Alright, so Williams presented wooden Druidic alphabets to friends and notables and succeeded in persuading many of its authenticity. A bardic and Druidic essay written by his son, Taliesin Williams, and published as a pamphlet in 1840, so he did all his faking after he died even, defended the authenticity of the alphabet and won the Abergavenny Eisteddfod in 1838. That's still a forgery. Anyway, Taliesin Williams' book was written about the Coelbren Bydd, which is the name of a Welsh language manuscript in the Iolo manuscripts. So, if you don't know about Iolo Morgannwg, I think everyone on here pretty much does. He was what Alan Wilson calls a copier. If you watch Alan Wilson's speech, I think it's the one at Ark, isn't it? And I must have watched that about 8 times. I go, copier, what the heck's a copier? And you realise he means he's a copier. He copies manuscripts, all right? He's a copier. I love the way Alan says it, a copier. So anyway, there's all the stuff he did there. He went round the history of the Welsh written history. They've always been persecuted, right back to the times of the Plantagenets and people like that. When Welsh princes were captured and taken to the Tower of London, quite often they take their books there as well because they could be there for a long time, and they want something to read, and then the books were destroyed and burnt. As soon as Ecclesiastica is the name of the monk, it's not his real name, but that's his sort of special name for the wonderful person who destroyed all this history to save the church. And then you go on, and then you find, I think it's 1470s, when Caxton introduced the first printing press to London. Almost immediately a law was passed preventing all Welsh from being printed. If you go to medieval times, there was laws against even having pens or paper or anything like that. So then they say, well, where's all your Welsh evidence? Where's the written evidence? So it's been persecuted and destroyed over all this time, okay? So there's a little snapshot. I think there's a point to this story in a second. There's a snapshot of the alphabet. That's just one fragment of it. What's wonderful about it, you can take it all the way back to the earliest writing, thousands of years ago, with the original Arwen sign, the 3 points, the A-O-U. Oh, is my microphone still in now? Hang on, be worried I lost the microphone then. No, we're okay. So, I was going to say, yeah. So, one of the bits of evidence that we're relying on. The camera's frozen. Right, bear with. Damn it, hang on. I must have nudged it or something. Don't worry. I can fix it. Don't panic. Yes, okay. Just check this is working as well. Yeah, we're okay. Okay, sorry about that. I must have hit it with my knee or something. So anyway, so what we're going to do, one of the sources of evidence are the stones. You know, these massive stones all around Britain. A lot of them in... Oh, I kicked it again. This is going to really annoy me now. Right, 1 second, I'll unplug it and plug it in again. Alright, bear with me. Technology does my head in. It wouldn't be the same without the technology accident, would it? Right. Yeah, got some issues. There we are. It's how you deal with it, isn't it? It's like life. We all... There's a good free meme. We all have problems. Things always go wrong. It's how you deal with them. Keep smiling. Go for it. Right, so one of the things we bring up is you can see this writing on stones. I want to get to some point I've been set another theory that the Latin is largely from Romania, and I think the Latin is largely from the British. That's another story. That's an interesting one. I want people to have a think about that. You find Latin appearing on stones in Britain, most notably in Wales, and quite often they call it dog Latin or crude Latin because it's not quite right. It's not the proper Latin. But maybe that came first, and maybe the stuff we see in Italy, that's the dog Latin perhaps. How about them onions? But that's definitely for another issue. Right, but one example I want to show is this bad boy here. Hang on. Romanesque architecture, okay? And here's an example from Durham. I'll give you the name and everything in a minute. And this stone's supposed to be 1150.
That's old.
Outrageous. St. Bridget's Church, this place here, Bridekirk, okay? The Paradox Place. Oh, I wonder what that... I should look more into this. So anyway, this... Oh, what was that on?
Your phone, I think.
Oh, could you turn it off, please?
Yep.
So this is supposed to be 1150, okay? The problem with this being 1150 is, what does this say along here? It's some very unusual shapes, okay? And if you look, you've got little triangles, you've got stars and these kind of curly shapes. And I'll just remind you just quickly. Oh, no, you haven't seen that bit yet, have you? Where do we show the... Yep, these sort of shapes. The little arrows. Got the crisscrossy ones, you've got stars, you've got stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff, which rather strangely, we see on here. Okay. So, of course, Wilson and Blackett have translated all this, as you'll see in a second. Let's have a little look about it first. Bridekirk. Romanesque architecture. So what is this Romanesque art? It's supposed to be 1150. So for a start, this is 700 odd years, whichever way you look at it, after the Romans have gone. Can we see what else is there? Oh no, let's not get on to modern Israel, please. It's guaranteed to get us shut down, that is. And it's not really Britain's hidden history, okay? So what we have here is...
quite like the music of reconnecting. It's like the BHH soundtrack.
when the camera goes back on, BHH soundtrack, just sample it, yeah? Yeah, we'll sample that and keep repeating it. All right, so because, yeah, so it's, his name means Rome, everything's Roman. That's my next t-shirt, everything's Roman, except that isn't underneath. This was a term coined in the 19th century, reflecting the fact that Romanesque buildings, like those of the ancient Roman Empire, tend to display a strong sense of proportion and order. Oh, that's all you need. Get the walls and the ceiling matching up and it's Roman, right? And feature numerous rounded arches and vaults. No one else can make a wall that...
just make everything really wonky or something.
Everything's wonky if it's not Roman, yes. So this is 6th century, it says here, in Ravenna, in Italy. So we've suddenly gone back to the 6th century now. And major influence on the court buildings, everything's Roman. Okay. And there's a, want to come more into that kind of thing. And then I've got this here. A closer up picture of it. Okay, if you want to have a little crack at that, I'll write it down. And then what do we have here? This is the exciting bit now. Is, oops, a daisy, slideshow. Right, so this is a drawing made by Camden. I need to check when he did this. So you might, I think, he might even have made this drawing before Llewellyn, not before Llewellyn, Sean, before Iolo came along. So it seems very unlikely, whichever way you look at it. The reason I've shown so much about the dates, it seems very, very unlikely that Iolo or one of his buddies went up to Durham, grabbed his stone, hacked out the message in Coelbren, and then tried to age it and then hide it back into a Romanesque building. It does seem to be quite old, alright? That's the point I'm making.
He bought some, like, powdered age and mixed it with water.
Yeah, he just...
Painted it on.
Well, it's very hard to date stones, you know? He could have just whacked it a bit. He was a stonemason. He's a clever bloke. Alright, so there's the picture. I'd like to know, by the way, if anyone's got any thoughts on what's going on above. There's some weird things there. I mean, is that some sort of dragon or something? And then we got these flowers. You see that going all the way back to ancient Egypt. This bloke, stonemason, he's banging, or is it something to do with the crucifixion? See, crucifixion could be. See, this bloke could be part of the execution. Anyway, have a look at all these things. So what we got there, and of course, the wonders of Wilson and Blackett are, bum. This is how you read it. Okay? Because everyone says, well, are there any examples? Well, this is probably the clearest one. Going through their notes and books, clearest one I come across so far. So it's a very simple system in that, well, deciphering the symbols, just like a modern alphabet, okay? The symbols mean the same thing wherever you see them. You have to be a little bit clever sometimes. And one of the things you need to look for are the dots, which I will come on to in a second. I'm not quite sure. Well, all right, I'll show you something about the dots here. I need to see the whole thing. I should have worked out beforehand. But anyway, this is an example. 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. So that seems to imply that the word before it's got 4 letters. So that's got 3. And then 3 for 3 letters, 2 for 2 letters. So it's things like that you have to look for, clues and codes. I'm not sure how carefully this has been drawn. So what we have here then, you get the... You're making your Welsh words. So cresi, resi, ardd, cresi. So Christ, swiftly and noise speaking. And then cresi oiphavi. So Christ, I am with you. What we have here is Roit Drevi breaking out from ties and bonds. BC he was a whizzing, pure to satiate the ferment to whirl around. Alright, so there's an example. And what's quite, and as Wilson Black had on the bottom, this text is clearly reminiscent of many Etruscan funerary texts. So there are hard evidence, okay? Because if you read the official thingies about this, which I thought I had on screen before, I think it does say what. I thought I had a translation up here. I think they say it's sort of some sort of. I had them. Hang on a second. It's not there, unfortunately. Anyway, the point was, what they say on it, it's some sort of broken script, you know, it's part Latin and part, we don't know what it is. Almost anything except, well, maybe it's British. Maybe it's ancient Coelbren. No, it's not British. Thank you, Arnie. Right, Arnie, can you play Hava Naglia?
Nagila.
Do you know what that song is on?
No, I don't, but I've written it down. I'll try to learn it for next week.
Alright, we'll try and learn it for next week. There we are, in case you didn't hear that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I need to bring your sword down as well. Runes and Colburn look the same to me. They're a bit thick. No, Finky, they do look a bit like runes. And this is going to be controversial now, because I'm not convinced the runes work. All the records seem to me, and discuss this again with Alan, which hopefully I'll see him very soon, about, well, the strange thing is, right, the Angles and Saxons and all those all seem to be illiterate. They have no body of written work. So, are they runes? Are they runes just symbols or something? Are they a writing system? They are very similar. I mean, all straight lines carved into stone are going to be a little bit similar. So it's quite difficult to do curves and stuff. We've got an R and things. They do look like runes. But why do people assume runes are correct, but Colburn isn't? When the Colburn's got a history, you can trace it all the way back across through Etruscan, back to hieroglyphs and all sorts of things. So that would be the way to do it. And I'm going to do a lot more on. I'd really want to get a book out just on Colburn, bringing it bang up to date and making it like hieroglyphics, where you can read it, and the same way you can learn hieroglyphs within an hour or two, well, about 10 minutes really. Hopefully we can do the same with that. Okay, so there we go. Just to give a little bit of an aside there. Right, what's next on here? I've got some more questions about that. Hang on, what's the other things I had ready? Oh yeah. Thank you very much. And I haven't written the name down. Oh no, David. Sorry, I'll put your thank you in the description. Someone sent me a copy of this. We got any more questions about still waiting for Come On Eileen? Oh yeah, write that one down as well, on Come On Eileen. Okay. I have played that to you. Yeah, sorry Gary, we'll meet up this week to be in the sword. I know you wanted a copy of the new book when it was ready as well, delivered at the same time. So there we go. The Brutes. Is everyone, I hope, is aware of this? Now, what I do here is look at, this is the Brutes, the Chronicles of England. Now, people joke you're doing, it's not YouTube research, all right, or Wikipedia. What I'm doing when I pull this up is to show you what the mainstream versions of things are. Because what I think is unfair is for me to describe something. Oh, hang on a second. Chronicles of England, sorry. And people, if you know the Chronicles of England. Thank you. We've got Holinshed's Chronicles, all sorts of Chronicles. Blasters! I can't find the Brutes. Anyway, the Brutes is a historical record. What I'm very conscious of is you have this technique, you must come across it all the time in debating and discussion or arguing, called the straw man argument. What you do is you put words in your opponent's mouth to make their argument look stupid so you can knock it back down again. Alright? I don't like to do that. You'll see in the books and when I'm quoting and trying to do these videos, I will try and get the people supporting something to use their words. So in the book, for example, in hieroglyphics, you'll see lots of passages from mainstream books, them describing their own things rather than me do it. Seems fairer to me. All right, if you can't have a two-way discussion. But anyway, one of the things on here, just want to mention it quickly. This is the history of England. And the idea was, that year by year accounts are added, a bit like a massive diary, and giving key events from Anglo-Saxon point of view, from Anglo-Saxon history. And one of the things that's in here, the only date in this revolves around our friend King Arthur II, all right? So I'm just going to read a little passage. I was going to try and get all this on screen, but I've not had a chance, unfortunately. Right, so it's page 80 if you've got this. And you can get this, you can see this one here, kindly donated to me. It's been got from Gyan Books. Gyan Books. We reached a stage in this world where if you want to get old British history books, you have to order them from India. How bonkers is the world? Ah, yes, it says what William Wallace, and they made him their king. That's not something they teach us in Scotland. They actually don't teach us anything about that. Oh, I missed this discussion, but can you try and find the thing about William Wallace? Because who's that comic from? Who's talking about Wallace? Well, Wallace, of course, means Wales or Welsh. Amelia. So there was one for you, Amelia, you might not be aware of. Wallace, the name Wallace means Welsh. And one of the great things, a side story, a little nugget you get thrown in for free. And I am going to definitely try and make this video this week. It's a short, try and do the thing in 7 minutes, showing how Wallace's claim on the Scottish throne was based on marrying one of the daughters of Llywelyn ap Fawr, Llywelyn the Great of North Wales. And through his wife, he could claim the sort of vacant, if you like, Scottish throne. And the interesting thing is, Balliol, the rival, and Bruce, the rivals, also did the same thing. So they're all actually brother-in-laws via the Welsh. And Wallace, his father was Robert, I think his first name, anyway, Leicester, and he was born in Chester, which kind of Wales-England border. Probably Wales in those days, which might be why he got his name, Wallace. And I think Chester's still in Wales. I always think of it as Welsh. So Wallace, not even Scottish, all right? He was not some, as a lot of these stories, no one just comes from nowhere. Some minor person and everyone rallies round and he becomes king. Things don't work like that now, and they didn't work like that in medieval times. And it's one of those fantastic bits of research. Can you see a pair of glasses from me? Oh, yeah. There. The text is quite big, but it's a bit wonky. So there's one for you to have a think about. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to read a little bit from here, because it's a bit weird, the English, because it's very old English. So, how King Arthur announced all his men Pat had travailed in his cerise. Good grief. Right, and after it befell us at Easter, here he held a feast at Paris. Richly he gan announced his knights, for here sat Pad him had helpen in his conquest. So Arthur's got all his knights together for a big celebration, okay? So he's got some of the names you recognise. So you've got Kay, Angon, Angers, and to Bedelair, his bottler, he hath Normandy. Pat was called Neustri, and to hold it his Chamberlain, he's a Flandres and Mance. So he's given up the lands that they've captured, is how I read this. If anyone there's an expert, please tell me. Save me from this agony. So he's dishing out all the captured territories because they've invaded into France. And I wonder if there's a confusion here with Arthur the First. But anyway, the point was here, when Arthur had plus his knights fest at April after next sowing, so next sowing is after the spring, he come again into Britannia, his own lands. Right, here we go. And after, at Whitsuntide next sowing, so I suppose a year later, by counsel of his barons, he would been crowned King of Glamorgan. This is in the English book, all right? The English brutes have got King of Glamorgan. And held a solemn fest, and let some kings, earls, and barons pat pay should come pider Erichion, don't know what that word is. There was Skater, King of Scotland, Cadwick. This is where showing what a big event this was, okay? A bit of King Arthur stuff here. Huge event. They've come from all over the place. There was Skater, King of Scotland, Cadwick, King of South Wales, Gullimore, King of North Wales. So you've got these other kings as well, which is interesting, I think. Madid, King of Ireland, Malgamus, King of Gutland, Achilles, King of, it says Iceland, I think it might be Iceland, Aloth Ikeland, yeah. Aloth, king of... Not easy to read, is it? Denmark. You have a go at this one? You can do it. Oh, he's nicking the bits off my cake. I can't believe it.
Yeah, which bit?
Well, any of it you can have a go in a minute. I'll show it to you later. There on. Hoyle, his cousin, king of Dorkney. Do you want to have a go?
From where?
Cador, line 3.
Cador, king of Little Britain. Morwib, Earl of Coelbren, Earl of Hereford. Vertegi, Earl of Oxen. Oh, did I miss a line?
Mauron next. Yeah, go on. Yeah, Mauron.
Mauron, Earl of Gloucester. Guerdon, Earl of Winchester. Boel, Earl of Hereford. Vertegi, Earl of Oxenford. Kersal, Earl of Bath. Jonas, Earl of Chester. Oirel, Earl of Dorchester. Cumar, Earl of Salisbury.
Yeah.
Warloth, Earl of Canterbury. Again, Earl of Chester. Lots of earls.
Yeah, we'll jump to the end of that now. We'll go to the weren't at his desk, and then we on. Can you read that bit? Probably not.
Which bit?
We'll jump to the end of the chase, and many
an ober fair fest King Arthur had holden Bythorn, but near none sochi nino solump, and pat lasto ex v deis, whip Michel, honor and merbe.
There you go, easy one.
That's very old English.
Mary. So this is supposed to be a very old ancient book anyway. Not sure. Thank you, Arnie. Thank you for that. And a good stab at that one. So it's very interesting that Arthur's like in here and is you can work out, his life. There's a whole chunk of this book.
English.
Proper English, yes. You got the Roman. Now the heading, if you notice this, you got Arthur's feast. The summons to him from Rome, and you got Roman emperor and Arthur prepared to fight. So this is clearly about Arthur 1 they're talking about here. And as when you see the inclusion of Britannia or Brittany into the British Empire. And then you go on and on and on. Arthur and his Britons are sure they'll beat the Romans. So this is clearly going back to that kind of era. And I'd like to read you some more details. Thank you very much for this book being sent to me here. And as soon as I get this other one out the way, I want to read you some more detail. And then we got Mordred the traitor. Mordred fights Arthur at sea. Oh yeah, that was it. I think reminds me. Anyway, so all the stuff in here. Great book. Get yourself a copy from Gian. Not any commission or anything for that. Just think it's something it's worth reading to get another view on things.
We are not sponsored.
Not by Ryan. We should be sponsored by Gian Book, shouldn't we?
Any enthusiasm.
I thought the history of Cambria was tough. Yeah, well, hello, Rob. Oh, loving the show. Thank you, Tara. Thank you very much. We're almost up to 9 o'clock already, aren't we? Right. Now, what was the other thing I had? A couple of things lined up. I can't remember any of them. The Brutes, what was this one? The Tintagel Tortoise. There was that one. Yes, the other one I wanted to show then was... Hang on. I'm going to have, this week, I'm going to get Robert Pierce back on again, who is, we're going to have... it's incredibly popular last time. We had about 800 views or something. Rob's intelligence and book reading and my good looks, it worked really well. So he's R for Rob, I'm R for Ross. So the programme is called Talking Out Their R's. Okay, you can enjoy that. On a Sunday evening as well, isn't it? Tip from English literature. To understand Chaucer, read it aloud in a Brummie accent, a Birmingham accent. Alright, should we do a little bit more of that? Hang on, let's try that a second.
What's a Brummie accent?
Birmingham, lad. It's Birmingham.
So like Sean Bean?
They say what's the difference between... No, I can't do anti-Birmingham jokes. It's not fair, is it?
Come on, say
Oh, just a bit of fun, is it?
Say it. Don't be a snowflake, viewers.
Don't be a snowflake. Thanks, Arn. Well, they say that... what do they say? What's the difference between... what was it? When an aeroplane comes back... Right, let's get it right. Okay. When you got an aeroplane full of Birmingham holidaymakers and they come back into land, what's the difference between the passengers and the plane? Was it?
I don't know.
Well, the plane stops whining when it gets to the runway. That's the... Boom, boom. There we are. I lost all my Birmingham listeners now. It's a shame, really. Right, okay. Oh, the Welsh get enough stick. I watched the thing the other day saying all this current environment, it's an Australian news thing I was watching, and all this current environment where you'll be so sensitive about offending people. He said, in the old days, I'll tell you who it was Crocodile Dundee, and he was saying, in the old days, we had these things called jokes, and people laughed, he thought it was funny, and that's how we coped with things. All right, I'll tell you what, so I'm going to do a little bit. I'm not going to do a Brummie accent, or I might do, by accident. Right, so you got, what the point of this book is here, there's chapters about King Arthur, and this is supposed to be the English records, and they've got chapters about King Arthur, and it does say in here, he is Arthur, King of Glamorgan, all right? So I'm going to try and read a bit more of this. Shall we have another crack at this? Right. Oh, Gordon Bennett. Right, a little bit of Arthur against Mordred, okay? How Arthur, I think that's chased, Miss N chased, Mordred betrayed her, and how he was slain, and King Arthur was wounded to death. No, did he die or not? I'm not do a Brummie accent, it's not nice. Right, when his tidings came to King Arthur, here Pat, he was in Bourgogne, he was in France. He was full sore annoyed, and took ill France to Hoylfort kept Whip Hallandel his men, and praised him that he would keep till Patty come and says, man, this is difficult. Anyway, he's got basically what it says here. He's going to come into Britain, back into Britain, and avenge him upon Mordred. That, oh, I see. So the curly P, is a that. That was his traitor. And force went his way and come to Switzerland, and made his men to go into ship, and would have landed at Sandwich. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, well, Sandwich is southeast of England, isn't it? Brought with him a great host of France with his own land. But ere Pat, he might come to land with his people that were coming out of the ships. Mordred, coming with all his power, and at a strong battle to put King Arthur, lost many a man ere that he might come to land. So it's a contested landing. They're coming off the boat. You can imagine it in the waves, bashing away. I mean, the research would show this should be Longbourth, which is on the Welsh coast. But here we go. We've got Sandwich mentioned. So then when that comes into the story. For here was Gawain, his newest slain. So Gawain copped it. And I think Gawain might be a reference here to Geraint. And you can see his tombstone near where the landing's supposed to be at Longbourth Lake. And Angwill's Pat held Scotland. And many up here whereon King Arthur was full sorry. But after Pat Pye were coming to land, Mordred might not Azeynes, Azeynes. Anyway, him endure, but none was discomfited, and fled. Hence Pat. Anyway, it's getting difficult. But get yourself a copy of this, okay? So you can. There's loads and loads about Arthur.
Old person to read it.
A very old person, yeah, that'd be a few hundred years old, wouldn't they? And then we got another book, just goes on and on. Another one recommends Salutations to Britain. But of course, make sure you save all your money to buy the Britain's Hidden Christianity first. And this is a great old book, which I've just got back. Because one of the things I've been trying to research as much as possible is about this idea of early Christianity in Wales. And then spreading into England, and then from there, Gaul. And one of the things I would like to mention, which doesn't seem to get mentioned at all in the mainstream history, is you can see so much evidence for this Christianity starting in Britain. It's crazy. There are so many councils where they talk about the archbishops, and we're talking, 2nd century and stuff. Meetings in the 100s, and there's British archbishops there. Why are they there if Christianity is supposed to have come with Austin, or Augustine as you might call him, 597? So the whole thing doesn't tie up. And hopefully with this book it will all tie up, alright? But and then we'll do an Arthur book next, or an Etruscan book next, or a Colburn book next, or Migrations, or... So have a look about that, okay? So try and have a think about that. I shall... Oh, there we are. I think we're just about 9 o'clock, my goodness.
Already?
Yeah, 9 o'clock already. Where did the time go? Right, let's read some of the comments. Right, good. Let's have some questions. I love questions. A question, Ross. Jesus wasn't a Christian. He was a Jew. He was made the Messiah. It was Constantine et al. That made him the Son of God and Christ. So why would Jesus start Christianity here? Excellent. Stephen Drake, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. It's spot on. No, you're right. The term Christianity is misleading. The practice that was followed. What the book discusses is Jesus would have been an Essene, because I'm not even sure if you could be Jewish at that point, technically. I think that starts later as well. But there were various factions. One of the things the book discusses, that in Judea at that time, and even when he come forward to the Constantine you mentioned in the 4th century, there were hundreds and hundreds of different sects, cults. I don't mean cult as a rude word, by the way. I mean sort of a hidden organisation. They were organisations, churches, various people claiming various things. So it was a very, very confusing situation. What you do find in the Bible, if you look at the 4 Gospels, and this is something, and Josephus, the Jewish historian, who was a chronicler working for the Vespasians, for the Romans, what they discuss there is the lifestyle of Jesus and the disciples. Things like having to give up all your goods to follow me, a communal treasury, living as a brotherhood. All those things seem to reflect very closely Essene, E-S-S-E-N-E-N-E, which was a religious practice, if you like. Yeah, the People's Front of Judea, splitter. So it wouldn't be called Christianity at that point. Absolutely right. Of course, the other massive elephant in the room, which is a question I would like people to think about, it's not really in the book as such, is twofold. First of all, if he did indeed come to Britain, or at least the message came to Britain, it seems he came to Britain, the religion still took off. But obviously it was very different to the Romanized version that came a few hundred years later. This is where it gets controversial. This is where Christians might get a bit upset. And I would say it's, I've always been a chapel-going Christian, and if you find more truth about your faith, you find more truth about it. You go where it takes you, rather than banning anyone from looking at it. So what Alan Wilson would argue is, I speak on his behalf, but as I understand what he would like to argue anyway, and he's said on interviews I've had with him, the concentration has become too much about the singer, and the song has been forgotten. So, hang on, the camera coming off, was it on? Have I frozen again? No?
No, you have not.
Phew. Sorry, that noise. That's the noise of something's gone wrong usually, isn't it? The concentration should be on the song. And what he means by that is the message. So the message is all about how you deal with other people, how you lead your life, whether or not you have faith in a higher power. These are the things that matter. What is not so important is the details of the life of Jesus himself. So it's a difficult subject. So whether or not he walked on water, all these miracles, stuff like that, they aren't the important thing. The important thing is the message of love for fellow people, and where it would tie in, the Essenes message seems to tie in very closely with Druidic. Yeah, no secret it was here first. Thank you, Elliot. Yes, the difference is the point. That the message was about individuals. Where it tied in with, sorry, I got myself tangled up. Where it ties in with Druidism and to a certain extent Bardism is that each person is considered to have an eternal soul, and you keep revisiting it. And this is almost like a Buddhist type thing, a reincarnation, if you like. Which is why they had no fear of death or anything, because this is just a shell dying and I'll come back again. There's also the idea of atonement and repenting. They're all Druidic ideas. You have to dispel these images of Druids that's been cast by Roman accounts that were written without any contact with Britain. What was going on in the south of France and the Celts and all that kind of stuff, I don't know much about, but the descriptions of sacrifices and chopping heads off. Yeah, cutting them in half and yeah, all that kind of stuff you get in your horrible histories books, Ross. Ross, I'm Ross, you're Arnie. What's it called? The cutthroat Celts, isn't it? All that may be, I've no idea, but it's nothing to do with Britain, okay? Celts never came to Britain. Britain's never Celtic, and neither was Ireland. Let's clarify that one. So you're right, Christian isn't really the message, but it's the followers of this figure. Now what's interesting, if you look in, you got the ancient Druids have got their Trinity. Sorry, I'm trying to find the 3 parts of the Trinity. You got the Taran is the storm, so it's like a storm type thing. But the third part of the Trinity is Yesi. And this is still the same in Persian. You see other languages around the world. Yesi. I think in the Quran is referred to as Yesi as well. So that ties in with the Druidic Trinity. So all these ideas and themes you see in Druidism. And if you go to a Welsh chapel, the word Jesus has never been translated. It's still Yesi. This shows these ancient Persian type roots to this philosophy or religion that they were following. So the clearest example then, if you look when the Clovis came in and did his deal with the Romans, they sort of supported him to say, right, you go in and smash the Gauls, because the Gauls had adopted this British style of Christianity. The religion was spreading already. This is the amazing thing about it. Even knowing that Jesus was not dead, as that's what their records seem to show, and we think we know he's buried, all this kind of thing, the message still worked, and people still were coming over to it. But there was no hierarchy. There was no bishops in charge, up to archbishops and whatever's above that. It was done in a small group basis. So, we'd have a group of a dozen or so people. And I've done this with Christianity. It works really well. And you have some sort of leader, and you discuss, and you all get a chance to talk and share and express your feelings. And when you got to a stage where you all reach a certain level of maturity, or your journey moves on, you go away and start other groups. And if you read in the Bible, that's very much how it is described in there as well. If you look at the 72 disciples mentioned, and how James the Just takes over from Jesus, all these kind of things. I have read far more Bible editing this book and compiling it and looking for references than I think I'd ever done in my life, because you're reading it with your eyes open, and you're reading these stories and realise it is there. It does tell you what it's about. So you're absolutely right. It's not necessarily what we would call Christians, because that came much later. And bizarrely, the main instigator of this was Constantine, who was British. And he was a Christian already, what we would call a Christian. He was well versed in this doctrine. And at some point, he has gone and recaptured the Roman Empire from Britain. It was run from Britain quite a lot at the time, which we know from other books, other writings, and more books to come. That he's taken over this and introduced that as a state religion, but with big differences. Suddenly you do have a church, an all-powerful church. You have to pay, tithes and penances and all these kind of things to get the invention of the concept of eternal damnation, purgatory. None of those things were in the original form of the message, which seems to have gone to Britain, and already being there in the form of Druidism in a very similar form, which could tie back to the lost tribes migrating to Britain around about 500 BC. So it's big stuff. This is big, heavy stuff. And then it seems then, ever since then, there's been a constant persecution. Getting right back to the start of the programme now, there's been a constant persecution to destroy this message and hide this message and make it not happen. So if you're trying to find it, you have to look for the best hidden clues and the subtle clues. And that's when you need someone with the genius of Alan Wilson to find these clues and understand them. This is why the Tintagel tortoise is so important. And I think I've got some sketches and stuff here, but I'd love to have a proper picture of it. So if you can have a look at that, because it ties in there, it does give an early Christian message about the suffering on the cross and stuff. Okay? Did these feat in ancient times? Yes. William Blake. Right, okay. Ross. Since I retired, Ross, I've been doing the same... Oh, hang on. Gosh, comments. It's wonderful. She got into religion. That's it. Religion comments pile in. Belly Taran Yesi. Thank you very much, Elliot. Storm, Thunder, Lightning. Thank you. Radiance, the Messenger. Blessed are the cheesemakers.
Nice.
Yes, it's blessed are the peacemakers, aren't there? Patrick's being funny as always. Blessed are the cheesemakers. Does your book go into JC's possible years of education down in India way and beyond? No, it's Wilson and Blackett's book, but no, it doesn't. And that is an interesting story because, again, you've got all these ties between ancient British, Cymru, India. You got the fact that Sanskrit is so similar to the Welsh language. And where did Jesus go for many of those years? Now, in Wilson and Blackett give good evidence that he spent at least some of that time in Egypt. The other thing which is curious, if you get your... hang on. Never be far from your Bible. If you get your, this is King James Version, which I use a lot, almost exclusively. Where do I just put the glasses? And the reason is not because I have any preference, New International, all these different versions of Bibles, but the KJV is copyright free. One of the things I think, I'm talking out of school now, but one of the things I think is pretty, let's not make a judgment, let's just describe what happens. Opening all these Bibles, you see, New International Version, all these things that want to tell the world the message, they're all really strictly copyrighted. So if you decide to put Bible quotes from a particular Bible into your book, you can get sued by religious publishers. To me, I don't understand the logic of that. What I was looking for in here, come on, Ross. God, you've been in and out this Bible constantly the last few weeks. Anyway, we have two late Sunday evening. Anyway, if you look at the front of your New Testament, hang on, where's it in this one? I've got 3 different Bibles here at the moment. 4. That you'll see the genealogy of Jesus, which is a little bit strange. If his father's God, then how can he have a genealogy going through his father's side? Is that kind of thing. So, sorry, the question was about India, wasn't it? So there is this gap. What happened in his early life? Did he come to Britain, perhaps? Where he could have learnt more about his ways. It seems Egypt seems very likely. So it's worth looking. It's another interesting point in the book. Right, I'm just trying to, how do we do this now? Jesus and the Druids book sounds interesting to read. Yes, it does, doesn't it? Right, where else we go? Blessed are the Cheesemakers, that's where we were, wasn't it? You went missing for 15 years. I would say went missing for more than 15 years, really. I mean, if you think about the Bible, he's got his birth story, which we celebrate at Christmas, which would be the wrong time of year anyway. That should be spring. Oh, I've forgotten the 4 Beltanes. That's what I was going to do today. I knew there was something else. We'll come on. Anyway, after that next week. And then you've got, if you speak into the church synagogue at the age of 12 or so, it says in the Bible, well, how would he have a chance to speak? You must be important. How would he get in front of these people? And of course, we don't see him again until he's 30. So there's the 15-year gap I think you're referring to there. The Romans had trouble pronouncing the J sound, as in Jesse, Joseph, etc. So let's stick a D in front to create Josa. Yeah, I wonder if it's the other way around. I think the J might have come later. I'm not sure if there was a J. And the J's a more recent invention. I was really surprised. Let me talk about it a few weeks ago, where discovered that the Y in the Welsh language, that was only added a couple of 100 years ago. Not a real surprise. Because if you look at the whole Welsh language, everything's phonetic. Like is always wherever you see it in a word, and a W is always a oo. But a Y can have lots of different sounds. Like unusable is a Y pronounced 3 different ways in the same word. Doesn't make sense, but it turns out it's a recent invention. They put the letter Y in, I don't know why. And the J seems a recent invention. And if you get into flamenco, look at their dating and all that, the letter J is very weird. Jesus based on Horace. Yeah, very good. Who's that? Hylon ap Ithon. Yes. There's definitely a Horace connection there. And that'll be another book which needs to come out, which is why there's going to be a few more orange and yellow books at the beginning. I'll have to do a poll, I think. Maybe we'll do it next week, because there's 8 unpublished books to be written by Wilson and Blackett, and they can't take as long as the last one. I'm going to have to cut shorter and get some help. But also, I'd be interested to know what order people would like to have the books. I'll give you a heads up now about some of the topics. So you've got why the pyramids are built, what their purpose is, why you don't find treasure in pyramids and where the treasure actually is. That's quite a good subject, isn't it? Wilson and Blackett's cracked all that donkeys years ago. Yeah, that's quite a good one. How all the religions started and why they started and where they started, all that. I think that'll probably be in the same book, I think. How pyramids were... It's mind-blowing the amount of stuff. It's mind-blowing. And people who are... I'm not spending as much time now reading other books as I love to do normally, because I've got so much Wilson Blackett work and books to read. So I'm going to really dig in. And this broadcast, you'll notice, has become more focused on their work. I'd like to say, when I do have guests on the programme, like last week, thank you once again, for Matt going through those stones in America, all about the snake stones, all that kind of thing. I'm not doing this with any pretenses to be an expert myself. I'm just introducing topics I think related to and of interest to Britain's hidden history. And it's going to be more and more like that as I have to focus more and more on Wilson and Blackett stuff. And I'll be bringing in outside subjects such as Robert Langdon's excellent work, Rob Shaw's working on something. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm going to be meeting with Robin Heath soon, who's a real hero. We got to know each other through Megalithomania. And if you don't know him, he's the guy who worked out all the stones and the circles. He was the real brains behind the Stonehenge stuff, not what the BBC showed us. Is there any topping left at all on my cake? No, not really.
Yeah.
Right. Right, Old Red Dragon says, I think Jesus and or family first went to the... Oh, we just scrolled off the screen. Okakan or something. What is that? Please. I don't know what that means. God, the comments are coming so fast I can't keep up. Sol Invictus, religious of Constantine. That's the paradox. Yeah, it's a weird one with Constantine, isn't it? I'd like to get to learn more about that. Jesus was a backpacker and a basically sound guy. There's an author on Time Team talking about Jesus, the Essene. Yeah, I don't think... A lot of these themes aren't new. I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to show the old stone with the Colburn and everything, and I had to get old books out, is to show that Wilson and Blackett not invented all this, just out their imagination or something. They are in old writings, and a lot of this stuff did used to be taught. Yeah, some of his teachings are very reminiscent of Buddhism. They are indeed. And the other thing I'd be interested in, people know much about the Gospel of St. Thomas, which is in the, what do we call them again? Gnostic Gospels? Oh, that one's stuck. Hey. This is like an abbreviated version with commentaries. Because the other thing to bear in mind, a lot of the early Bible books were taken out to create the canon. And you get to another dangerous area then, because people get very upset when they say, well, if every book's the word of God and it can't be changed, it can't be added to or taken away. And yet we got loads of different Bibles all around the world. The Catholic Bible's got the Apocrypha, which is not in the Protestant Bible, and there's books in the Orthodox Bible, books in the Ethiopian Bible. They're all different, all right? So you have to try and be a bit more academic, please. And if you have got faith, good. Faith is good. But have confidence that it's okay to prise it open and have a look and find a deeper truth. Right, I think they're all pagan events. Sol Invictus, Christmas. Yeah, I was going to get onto the festivals. Right, we'll make a note for that next week, because and if you want to read up on it in advance, the bits I was going to show, which are here, we're ready to go and bookmarked, is... Oh, that is nice, that cake.
It is very nice.
It is very nice. Well done, Mummy. Thank you for that.
The front of my piece was missing.
Yeah, the top of my piece is missing. I mean, the front of it. So what I want to talk about then was the 4 festivals, the Beltanes, and then how they've become changed. Like one has become Christmas, one has become Bonfire Night, all that kind of thing. Anyway, do you want to get your violin ready, Arnie?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Didn't the Cathars believe in reincarnation? See, we could have a whole evening. We have to have a whole evening on this, I think, because on the religious side of it. It is so interesting, because I would love to know more about the Cathars. Because I remember reading a lot more about them in the 90s, when the Holy Blood, Holy Grail came out. Not the 60s, thank you, Arnie. I'm in the 90s, I was just a small child, all right? Just so you know that. So, the whole thing with the Cathars, because they were apparently Gnostic, which is to do with knowledge, but also it's to do with the dualism, good and bad, and they didn't believe in many of the things that the mainstream church did. So it'd be quite interesting. If anyone out there's got any information, please let me know about the Cathars possibly being linked to the early British church. Yes, they got Coptics. Thank you. Well, Jarden knows his names. Coptic, Ethiopian, Armenian, Orthodox, Catholics, all different Bibles. Yes. So how can you all be bang on? Email me, Ross, and I'll find the references for you. Thank you, Caroline. Yes, please. And who made the cake? Where is Angie, Xavier, and Leon? Yeah, where are they? Come out here and celebrate love.
Leon and Xavier are having a shower.
Oh, they're having their baths and showers. It's school day tomorrow. We're old school here. We tend to have our these modern ideas of a bath, shower every day. Our boys usually have a bath on a Sunday, and that'll do them for the week, unless they get soaked or play rugby or something.
No, I usually shower a few days.
Yeah, you actually are into showers now, aren't you? Some weeks you might have 2. Yeah, see?
There's usually one on rugby.
One on after rugby. Oh, yeah, we have one coming. Hey! Right, come and see Mr. Fluffy here. Come on, Zav. Show me about your showered hair. This is what showered hair looks like, or bathed hair. Where's he gone? He's hiding behind me. Are you trying to hide? Where's he gone? Oh, there he is. There we go. And there's the other one as well. Right, okay. So goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Up music.
Hang on a second. I just want to see what else we're doing here. Languedoc. This is a good chat, this is. I wish we carry on this. I will leave the discussion open, all right, for another half an hour or so. As people are getting into this. This is a great subject. And it's a really important subject for all of us. Yeah, and the pagan holidays as well. We'll do that next week, okay? Is that Thomas the Tank Engine? No, it's not Thomas the Tank Engine, but thank you very much. Oh, is this your Thomas? We love Thomas. Bup, bup, bup. And Caroline still has a tin bath. Well, I'd be very impressed with that. Right, okay, we're going to start rolling things up. We were going to do Indiana Jones, I thought, because we could do Ark of the Covenant as well. Oh, one thing I want to say, yeah, the appendixes, just before I finish, I got sidetracked. So this sentence has taken 1 hour and 20 minutes, because I started the sentence now over an hour ago. The appendixes, which I think people appreciate, because everyone's saying do a walking guide and a visitor guide to all these locations. So there's going to be an appendix on Nevern, where you can go and see the Cross of Helen. Then a little appendix on where the Ark of the Covenant is. It's like a little bit you stick in the back. It's not really part of the book. Like additional information. So like
a tour guide where you should go.
Yeah, little guides in the back. Yeah, we could park. Oh, thanks, Leon. Next thing I'll put on there. I'll put a map and some basic directions was the idea. But yeah, and then I get to Joseph Arimathea's grave. How you get to Jesus' grave. Guide to Lanthony Abbey. What I'm trying to do is not only produce this new book for Wilson and Blackett, but make it a complete guide to the early Christianity. So whatever you're looking for, be indexed, all referenced. So anytime you want to look at that, anything like to do with early Christianity or Jesus coming to Britain, or the growth of early British Christianity, you can get this book out. They should all be in there, all right, as much as they can. All right, so very good, everyone. So, Hedwch Pawb, yeah, peace to everyone, and with our very best wishes. And first birthday, let's onwards and upwards. I'm lying for the next year. Right, Arnie, there's a bit of Indiana Jones. Where's my silly hat? I don't need a silly hat, do I? Oh, I'll show the t-shirt. I'll just show off the t-shirt. Don't forget, all the merch is available. I'll put a link in. Right. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Finky. Did you find out about Queen of the Heavens? I don't know, is that Nefertiti? Is what I was thinking of. Because you got Nevod is heaven. And then TT, is that the Queen of the Heavens? Sorry, can you remind me again, please? Sorry, Suzanne. Or perhaps you could email me. ross@cymraglyphics.com. Anyone wants to email me? Nostar all, Hedwch. Oh, it's so much more to go through tonight. I'll be more organised next week. And we'll thrash our way through it. See you all next week. Oh, hang on. I gotta do this thing now, haven't I? Hang on, so it's until next week. Hedwch. Is that gonna work? Hang on, see if this works. Yeah. Alright, I'll leave the comments on a little bit. I'll take my microphone off. And it's bedtime for you lot. Ha 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 ha, yes. Bedtime now, school night. Yes. So everyone else, we're all going to have an early night. My night, I'm knackered. I'm worn out and tired. Oops. Language, Timothy.
Each in the heart of man is better than something less. The first time we met, something strange inside happened. Nothing to equal the emptiness. Women, wine, whoa, give me some. The house shop shall truly get tired in due course. Another thing to say is my Jaguar still standing out in the rain on Water Street. So we'll be in paradise, in the heart of mine is better than something less. The first time we met, something strange inside happened. Nothing to equal the emptiness. So tonight, don't say how much you can. If you think I look okay, see me the next day. Can't you realize I see through your disguise every move you make? I'll be standing here while observing you. Won't you feel okay? Tell her my soul tonight, don't say how much you're kind. If you think I look okay, see me the next day. Can't you realize I see through your disguise every move you make? I'll be standing here while observing you. Won't you feel okay? Or stuck up and feeling moody, the onus is on you. Whoa, the feeling's just electrifying, making your own way bust. Why can't you understand me? Just look and you see, ma. Tell her my soul tonight, don't say how much you're kind. If you think I look okay, see me the next day. Can't you realize I see through your disguise every move you make? breathe while observing you. Won't you feel okay? Like vomit there, avoided like a plague. In the devil's eyes, would he give me bad advice? Every move he fades. I'll be damned, let a crunch of Lucifer. He'd probably make me stay. Yes, yes, yes.
told me they never even sit and even break. Undergo frustration.
Undergoing frustration. I'm the fast line today, and I ain't giving up. I need a bit help, and I'm going to get it now. You see me all the way.
thinking in the trench, stalking like a leech. It could conceive your